So we're seeing a lot of frustration from brokers when it comes to their leads, and at some point in the funnel, something's going wrong.
Yeah, I think at some point in the funnel, there's good leads and bad leads coming in, and how we're tracking those leads and how we are qualifying those leads has become, I think, a difficult thing for marketing and for sales. And I think there's quite a lot of breakdown in communication I'm finding in the industry at the moment. So I think, brokers that are dealing with their own stuff is fine to an extent, but on behalf of their clients that they're brokering the deals for, I know there's quite a lot of frustration because those landlords, owners aren't getting the feedback that I think they should be getting. So if someone's selling a space and they've got a team of brokers from CRE, for example, on it, they're kind of been like, here's the property, here's the OM, here's the, put it up on and market it and go and find some, someone to buy the space. And they're not getting a lot of insight from the brokers. So
they're hoping that the broker's going to handle it and that they're going to close the deal, but the broker's also unaware of maybe what's happening on that deal. Maybe they're getting a lot of leads. Maybe the broker can't qualify the leads, or
maybe they've got other clients that they're doing stuff for. They've got too many properties.
Yeah.
So
it's like an attorney, like, you were desperately waiting to hear from this attorney and on your pressing deal, but they are in court.
They got other stuff. They've got a big inventory that
they're not telling you, so you don't know.
Exactly.
So there's just this circle of out of loopness, lead leakage, burst pipage.
And I think a lot of the industry is built around these kind of old school ways of doing things. So it's like, it's phone calls and it's like, emailing someone, hey, we got 5 leads and 3 of them were shit. 2 of them were pretty decent. We did a property showing, didn't close. So we're going to keep going. But, if you own that property with the technology we have today, there's so much more we can be doing. And this is the thing, right? Is with the CRM systems and platforms that you can put in place, if you've got a team of brokers that is trying to sell a property of yours, whenever they do anything, you should have full sight of what they're doing for your property, because this is a huge investment. And
investment for who?
It's a big investment for the owner. They're putting a lot of money into marketing this property,
and then also the potential buyer. So everyone is even the broker and the brokerage firm, they're all investing time, effort, and energy.
Yeah, so they everyone's kind of, but as the owner, you want to get rid of, you want to sell this as fast as possible,
because that's costing you money every single month,
all the time. And so what we're seeing a little bit, it's just like it's a little bit broken at the moment. This leasing funnel. It's not even just leasing, to be honest. If we look at the CRE tech companies out there, they're just getting leads in for them, and who's following up with those leads, and how are you getting them? If it's coming through digital ads, are you giving that insight back to your marketing agency so that they can use that to do better?
It sounds like there's 2 parts to this problem. It sounds like the first issue is maybe brokers aren't using a CRM. And
I don't think all.
And if they are, maybe they don't have the time to then actually use it properly and follow up and quantify and qualify and every other phi that it sounds like they're spread too thin. Or it sounds like there's a middleman missing.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to put words in brokers' mouths. It's what we hear from clients, and people that we speak to in the industry. But I think that there are brokerages and brokers out there that are heavily investing in technology and tools like CRM systems. So, if they're getting a lead that comes in through their listing page, it goes into that pipeline, and they're able to track, right through the process. And if you are the owner, you have access to that pipeline, and you can then watch the progress of that lead, and you can see, okay, is it qualified? No, it's not qualified. That it moves into, non-qualified. Yes, it's qualified, moves into the next round, follow up, etc. So there's all those stages of the pipeline that, in my opinion, should be followed, because
it's like your NFL draft. Like, you don't just go from high school to, you can, but you got to go through those phases of being scouted and vetted, and you can't just be like, hey, let's bet our chances on this guy.
Yeah. That would be an unqualified lead.
Yeah, it's unqualified.
And
so you're
going to waste a lot of time on that stuff.
And money. So what is the solution in your mind? Do you think it's
So for me, it's the solution for me is transparency. Like, I don't think there's enough transparency in the industry around leads. And I think leads are so, like, there's this aura about leads, about someone giving the information to
who's not being transparent.
Well, we'll get into that, I guess.
It's like, where's it, the chicken or the egg?
Like who's pointing.
Yeah.
So on the transparency thing, it's who should be transparent here. Like, leads have this aura about them, I think, in the industry. It's like someone fills out this form or gives them their details away.
Stat, but confidential.
And then it's like, this is mine, and I don't want anyone else to know about this. It's such a cutthroat market, obviously. And we found it's really difficult for us to know, especially from a pipeline point of view, when we deliver form fills specifically, what happens to them, what happens after that.
Yeah.
Very few companies are willing to give marketing like real transparency into what their pipeline looks like. So we don't actually half the time know if the content is working or not, because we don't know if it's a qualified lead or not a qualified lead. Obviously, some clients are more inclined to say, we understand how important this is, so we need you guys to know that.
So we in this loop as well, we also lacking transparency.
We're lacking transparency. I think
maybe we're not being transparent with them.
No, because we're trying to get as much transparency so that we can actually give insights. We can get insights into understanding what is working well and what isn't. Because if we don't know that, we're just going to go out with the same stuff all the time. And we have no insight into whether it's working well or not, because you could get 500 leads, but 400 of them could be bots if we don't get told. They could be fake Gmail accounts or whatever.
And we'll only know that once those leads are followed up and moved on.
Exactly. And
because we're not marketing in general in companies, they're not the ones following up with those
your
leads.
Sales team.
Yeah, that's handed off to sales team.
Yeah. And so for me, the way of fixing it is far more transparency between marketing and sales, but also marketing and sales just working a lot more closely.
Yeah, there's this weird, it's that age-old, there's that age-old sort of vibe with marketing and sales being like the biggest enemies. I think it's the same with in all companies. I think there's like that sort of separation. It's probably like the warehouse versus the office, and then for us it's kind of like in marketing it's like the creative department versus the operations sort of account management. Like we're two different entities, but we work under the same roof. I don't know why we don't all come together.
I agree. I completely agree. I think we need to get over ourselves.
Yeah.
Sales and marketing people just get over it and start working together. Because if sales and marketing work together, magic can happen. Because if we are giving sales these beautiful insights into, hey, this video that we did, people are loving it. So, that's what your cold audience potentially wants to hear about. Talk to them about it. That could be your way in. But at the moment, it's just half the time we never even see the sales. We don't even know who they are. It's just like, the sales team are dealing with the leads that have come in. And it's like, cool. Well, yeah, there's animosity, I think, to an extent.
I think from both sides, but so maybe that is the solution, and now we're trying to solve world peace here, or
no. I think the solutions, what I'm trying to say is that the solutions lie in the CRM, in this pipeline, and if everyone has access to that, then there are no excuses. No one can hide behind anything anymore. Marketing can't be hide behind, and we don't know what's happening with the leads. Sales doesn't tell us anything. And sales can't be like, well, they're bringing in bad leads. Cool, why aren't you telling them?
Yeah, let's look.
So I just, for me, the transparency is what is going to change this whole thing. And we've already started with a few of our clients, and it's been awesome. We have monthly calls with the sales team. They give us their insights, their feedback on what people have been saying in the market.
Well, what are they saying?
That have seen the marketing, what have they been saying? Have they, are they liking this? Where did they see it? That sort of feedback is great for us. And then for us to give them, that feedback as well, to say on the landing page for this property, a lot of people are using the calculator. So people are interested in understanding the finance for this thing. So that's a really good thing for you to bring up, because it might be a big pain point.
Yeah.
So as soon as marketing and sales start talking, it's amazing stuff happens, and we're starting to see it already, which is really cool. But it's one way of sort of fixing this broken lead and leasing funnel.
I like that idea of being able to, almost like the CRM being a portal that everyone can access and see, and you can make annotations, and it's like that central hub, instead of being like, I'll tell you that lead was bad, but meanwhile I'm not telling you about the 10 leads that were good.
Yeah, because maybe I'm going to use them for something else as well. From the broker side, it's a little bit their bread and butter, right? It's
I wonder
those contacts.
I wonder if brokers would be opposed to having all of that information available, because also at the same point in time, you can always go over to the next company, and brokers do change brokerages and
take their clients.
Right? You can go off and start your own thing, and you take clients with you. Now you have access to 100 qualified leads. That's enough to start a new company, and start your own brokerage.
I mean, these brokerages buy teams. They're buying teams from the CBREs, JLLs.
I can come to you and say
they will just go and buy a team from Colliers.
I can come to you and say, listen, I've got 20 qualified leads for each 6-figure deals. Buy me, and I come with this.
That's how it works.
So maybe that is something to consider. Maybe there needs to be some sort of clause.
But should that be okay? Do you know, this is what I'm trying to say. So if you own the property, if you're the owner and you get a broker team to come and sell that property, and they're struggling to sell it, but you have no idea what they're doing, where are you just okay? Are you just okay with that? Whereas if they were putting every lead into a pipeline, a CRM that you had access to, that you could see, you'd be able to monitor, you'd be able to phone them and say, hey, what happened with that lead? I saw it come in. They would have something to answer to, right? Someone to answer to. Whereas at the moment, I think what a lot of shit goes down is where you own this property and you have no idea what these brokers are doing. Are they even doing anything with it? And obviously it's in their interest to sell it, but they might have 5 other properties that are, they're going to make a bigger split on. So
I'm playing devil's advocate here again, I guess. But another issue that I can think of, if we open that communication and, be fully transparent and get everyone working together, is that there may be the issue of having too many cooks in the kitchen. And, next thing, the owners might not be a bad thing. I'm just thinking from the brokerage point of view, now this owner's on top of it more than you are. And now this owner's barking down your neck, but meanwhile you're busy with other deals and you're getting there, but it seems like you're not doing a good job. And then they might just be like, listen, I'm going to take this into my own hands. And why am I paying you assholes to sell my property when I can just do it myself?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of happened to us recently, where we've been brought in because this company's been through like a few brokers trying to sell properties for them, and I think they've obviously still got some brokers trying to do it, but they've also said to themselves, like, we need to look at other ways of getting this, marketing this property, and not just through contacts that brokers have, but there's a potential different audience out there that isn't something you can just necessarily cold call. You need to actually run a marketing funnel to find these people.
Yeah.
And that's where the digital marketing side comes in, but it can work really well with the brokers side of things as well. So there's room for all in this thing, but I feel like other B2B industries have sort of caught on to that, and they're maybe working a little bit better. Whereas commercial real estate, it's very much, I
guess
everyone's kind of, like, this is mine. I don't want anyone to know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
going on here. You know what I mean? Like
it's like a different style. It's a different style of parenting in a way. Like, the commercial real estate's very like closed doors. Like, I'm parenting my child this way, versus, we're not all just sitting together, sharing the same sort of methods and techniques on how to raise that child lead. We kind of keep it to ourselves.
It does feel a little bit like that at times. And look, the point of this is not to have a go at, anyone from brokers to sales team to marketing.
It's no one's fault. It's just
it's definitely not anyone's fault, because this is the way it's always been done. And but I think with everything that we have to deal with now, from a technology point of view, from a digital point of view, the platforms that are available to us, I think that there are better ways of doing things now, and transparency is, for me, a key to unlocking a lot more revenue. That's truly what I believe. But if, like we said, without that transparency, it just feels like you aren't able to get the most out of what you potentially could. So
yeah, I wonder if there's any brokers or owner operators watching this, if they would prefer to have a CRM where everyone is interconnected and see everything, or do you just kind of trust that? Would you prefer to just sort of hand it over to the brokerage firm and be like, sell my property, let me know once it's done? Like, what is, because I guess there are different approaches. Like, do you want to be close touch, or do you just want to hand it off and be like, get it done? I think maybe the first sort of disconnect that needs to be fixed, or the pipe that needs to be sealed first, is probably between marketing and sales, like we spoke about. And then, maybe it's like an offering to owners. If you are looking into these CRMs and looking at the leads and that, it is a bit of a process to qualify them, and if you're an owner operator, like, how do you know unless you call them? So I guess
they're definitely like, that is a thing, because if you're getting a lot in as well, and especially there's a lot of bot traffic out there too. So if you're running digital ads on Meta, whatever, for listings, there's always the possibility that you're going to get these bots filling in these forms, and we see it a lot, especially in the sort of consideration phase, and there can be hundreds of them. So there's a big lead qualification job that has to be done, and that comes down to the marketing teams looking into those. And
how do you rank those? Like,
there are a few factors that you can look at. So you can look at the email address itself a lot of the time. A lot of
face value, you can be like, damn, unless you're using like your
ridiculous.
Don't use your one that you made in like primary school.
No. Yeah, because we're going to dequalify you.
You're like buying a property.
But generally, you're looking at the email address, the names. But with AI now, bots have become really sophisticated. So it's really difficult to tell what is a bot and what isn't from an email address and a name. So there are a whole lot of different digital techniques that we use on landing pages now to try and deal with it. And we've figured out that running certain types of objectives in certain stages of your ad campaign will produce more bots than others. But like that's probably a whole podcast on its own, to be honest. But what we've started implementing and what we've started building is a lead scoring system. So I strongly believe that a form fill is not the be all and the end all of the campaign. It's a part of it, and it shouldn't be the only thing that is actually described as a lead, because when someone's filled in that form, they've often been through like months and months of research to get there, and it's so easy to just dismiss that one form fill as like, oh, it was a good lead or it wasn't a good lead. So that's, this campaign wasn't successful. Meanwhile, you've done a lot of work throughout that user journey of saying, cool, we got people really curious about this property or this, this service. They've started engaging on the landing page. They went, they watched a ton of videos. Those for me are all leads because they're a form fill in formation, if you can think about it that way, because that audience has to go from that point to that point as a journey, whether it's buying or leasing or looking at new technology for their company. That journey, there are many, many leads that are part of that. And the problem we're facing a lot of the time is that if we don't generate a form fill, then a campaign is seen as a failure.
But you're not looking at all those other pieces building up to that.
All of those other pieces are doing so much work at getting your brand a seat at the table.
Yeah, and all those people were keen, but because of the fact that we had the KPI being the form fill. There could be a million
factors why they don't fill in the form.
Yeah, but we said because, the internet could have dropped off and, something didn't work. But all those other people that because we looked at whoever's in that little basket and they might not have made it into that basket for some reason.
And then the campaign ends because you've said, okay, cool, we're going to run it for 6 months because that's the budget we've got. The campaign ends.
Cheers, guys.
And all of those people are gone.
Yeah.
Like they're just going to go to a competitor if they see, because we've actually done all that work for them.
Yeah.
To like help them understand what they need. And then the campaign ends like, oh, we didn't get enough leads, form fills, but half of those people in 2 months' time are probably are then going to be ready to actually pull the trigger, and you're not going to be in front of them. You're not going to be there anymore. So what we started doing was we've actually started scoring every stage of that user journey from 1 to 100. So the curiosity stage, how they interacted with all of this content, click-through rates, video completions, landing page visits, those all get scored. And then based on that score, we've got insights to say, okay, sales team, like this is what we're seeing at the moment. People are very, very curious about this. They're really interacting with this part of the campaign. That is information for you to use when you're actually cold calling into that area or location. Those are the things that they want to know.
Yeah.
So those are the things you want to be talking to them about.
Maybe that bird's not ready to jump off. Maybe they need some more video.
They're not ready to fill in a form.
Yeah.
They might take 6 months to fill in a form.
They need a few more dates but they're still getting comfy.
Yeah. You might then get someone who's like, I'm ready to jump in bed right now because I've actually done my research like way before this campaign even started.
Yeah, they were single. They weren't buying properties for a while, and then they got to the point where they were ready. They're like, I'm ready now. Yeah. Maybe someone was burned by a broker before, and they're not ready to just jump into bed with them again.
But if you aren't scoring every part of that journey and all of those leads, and all you're saying is like, this is successful if you bring in a form fill or not, you're missing out on so much information and data that is telling a bigger story of your campaign and your asset or your whatever it is. So that's what we've started building now for our clients, and you'll be able to see every single month, every single week, what the story is telling from that campaign, like what is coming out of it, and giving that information to your sales team. And then they go into the market and then they start using that insight. They then feed it back to us and say, people are loving this, we need more of it. So that's when I'm talking about the transparency and sales and marketing working together. It starts to create like this really awesome dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to picture, like, imagine I was in that curiosity phase and a salesman, let's use a car, for example, and the guy's like, I'm not ready to fill in the form and get the broker to call me and sell me the car, but I'm in that curiosity phase where I'm obviously like watching the videos that they're doing about it, and the guy calls and he's like, hey, listen, I see you like interested in this car. Do you want to maybe talk about like what it could do for you and how it might be different to what you currently have, or maybe like even just like pop by the dealer, and in the transparency phase, just being like, come pop by the dealer. Like, no, like I'm not trying to sell you anything. If you're interested, I want to come show you and we can do a little drive and chat about any questions that you have, instead of like expecting them to just be in that close. And then I might go on that test drive and have all my questions answered and then be like, you know what, actually, I think I'm ready. Let's pull the trigger.
Well, that's exactly it. But if you don't have that insight, if you don't have that from the marketing team to know that, you can't.
The broker will never know.
They're never going to know, right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people need credibility to before they pull the trigger on something, right? So they want to know, like, have other people benefited from this? Do they enjoy it? Like, have they liked it? So they want to see that that testimonials type of evidence.
Much like you go when you're looking at a restaurant, you look at Google reviews,
etc. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly, for everything now.
Yeah.
And if we go out with a testimonial video, and we can see people are engaging with this, we know that, hey guys, to help get these people over the line, we want to give them, like, you want to double down on the credibility and the testimonials, because that's what giving them the confidence to take the next step. But if you don't do that, if we don't have that sales and marketing discussion, and we're not giving them that feedback, and we're not tracking all of that data and scoring it, then that insight is gone. So you've potentially lost out on a great sale, because all you had to do is say, I've got 5 testimonials I'll send to you today. But it's not just about that. Like that, the testimonial, that's just an insight. It could be anything. It could be anything. And if the
insights are endless, like, actually.
They're not endless. I don't know with that sort of pressure. But there's a lot we can get from the data to see how people are interacting. And you can't do that any other way. Other than digital advertising and marketing, like, there's no other way to get a pulse on how the market feels about your brand and whatever you're trying to sell.
Yeah, I think that's the nature of data, is that it's digital.
But most people don't know what to do with data. That's the thing. It's like, cool, we've got all this data. We know that we're getting this click-through rate, and we know that people are scrolling this far on our landing page, but what does that mean? And that's what we've started to build now. Like the actual score that you get. And even if people scroll like 75% of your landing page, you get a score based on 0 to 100, how many, like, what the percentage is. That score is going to tell you whether it's good or bad. Okay?
And normally what happens is, like, you'll go to marketing and be like, listen, the score is bad or the score is good. Cool. If the score is bad, then you're like, okay, now what?
But if it's bad, we know that we have to fix it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're not looking at the data, you don't know what's good and what's bad.
And it takes enough data. You can't just do it on one sort of sample set or whatever. Like, I think you have to take, it takes enough to...
I mean, you need a little bit of time and running things for a while, and a little bit of budget, but you don't need a crazy amount. It's like still a pretty niche industry. So it's... I
think it's with knowing what to do with it and then doing it. But, looking back to the original thought that we started this with, was that there was a broker that had a leaking pipeline of leads.
I think the pipeline is leaking a little bit out there, and I think being more transparent with all of that is how we start to kind of mend that pipeline, and being a little bit more forthcoming with the leads, like what's working, what isn't working, sales and marketing getting closer together. You know, we live in a weird world now. There's no reason why marketing and sales shouldn't get on.
Yeah. If you're a brokerage company that has a tightly run ship without any leaking leads, what are you guys doing differently? And yeah, maybe there are people, I'm sure there are people that are doing this.
Definitely.
In a way,
people are doing brilliantly and using the likes of Salesforce and HubSpot, etc., and using it really, really well. But there are a lot that are not. It's not for lack of wanting to, I don't think. It's just the way things have traditionally been done.
Exactly. It's slow adopters.
It's hard to change the way people do things, especially when you've made a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you've made a lot of money from doing things that way and it's still doing fine for you, no problems. But I think the things are shifting, things are changing. You know, if you're seeing it in the rest of the B2B industries, you know, pharma, whatever that industry is, they're really doubling down on technology. I mean, if you look at Salesforce, like they have a building that they own in New York City, like that tells me everything, that how big a CRM company can be.
Yeah, because the building gives them credibility.
The fact that you're able to buy a building in New York, because you have a CRM platform, shows you how important CRM is in terms of marketing. Yeah, like it's everything. And so those are just some of the ways that I think we could fix things.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
Maybe some people didn't even think they had an issue until they knew that people were doing it differently.
I would say, like, if you've been through multiple brokerage teams trying to sell your property, it's time to rethink how you're doing it. So I'd say.
Fair enough. Cool.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, we'll see you later.
See you later.